The antediluvian period, often referred to as the time before the Great Flood, is a significant era in the Bible. This period spans from the creation of the world to the catastrophic deluge that reshaped the earth and humanity's history. According to the Bible, this era is marked by both the wonders of creation and the depths of human depravity. The creation of the world. The story begins in the book of Genesis with the creation narrative. According to Genesis 1-2, God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and rested on the seventh. Each day brought forth new elements of creation. Day 1, God created light, separating it from darkness. He called the light day and the darkness night. Day 2, God created an expanse to separate the waters, calling it sky. Day 3, God gathered the waters under the sky to one place, letting dry ground appear. He called the dry ground land and the gathered waters seas. God also created vegetation, plants yielding seed and trees bearing fruit. Day 4, God created the celestial bodies, the sun, moon, and stars to govern the day and night and mark the seasons, days, and years. Day 5, God created the creatures of the sea and the birds of the sky. Day 6, God created land animals and, finally, humanity in His own image, male and female. He blessed them and gave them dominion over all living creatures. The Garden of Eden and the fall. God placed the first humans, Adam and Eve, in the Garden of Eden, a paradise where they were to live and tend to the garden. They were allowed to eat from any tree except the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. However, tempted by the serpent, Eve ate the fruit from the forbidden tree and shared it with Adam. This act of disobedience, known as the fall, brought sin and death into the world, causing humanity's separation from God. Genesis 3. The lineage from Adam to Noah. After their expulsion from Eden, Adam and Eve had children, starting with Cain and Abel. The story of Cain and Abel, Genesis 4, illustrates the deepening of sin as Cain, in a fit of jealousy, murdered his brother Abel. Despite this, humanity continued to multiply and spread across the earth. Genesis 5 provides a genealogical record from Adam to Noah, highlighting notable figures such as Enoch, who walked with God and was taken by Him, avoiding death. This lineage underscores the longevity of life during the antediluvian period, with many patriarchs living for several centuries. The wickedness of humanity. As humanity grew, so did its wickedness. Genesis 6 verses 1-4 describes how the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. This led to the birth of the Nephilim, mighty men of renown. The corruption and violence of humanity grieved God deeply. Genesis 6 verses 5-6 states, "The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that He had made human beings on the earth, and His heart was deeply troubled." God's plan to cleanse the earth. In response to this pervasive wickedness, God decided to cleanse the earth through a great flood. However, amidst the corruption, there was one man who found favor in God's eyes, Noah. Genesis 6 verse 9 describes Noah as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. God instructed Noah to build an ark, a massive vessel to preserve his family and pairs of every kind of living creature. Noah's obedience and the subsequent building of the ark would become the focal point of the antediluvian narrative, leading to the dramatic events of the flood. Noah and the ark. As humanity's wickedness reached its peak, God decided to cleanse the earth through a great flood, sparing only the righteous Noah and his family. God gave Noah specific instructions on how to build the ark, a massive vessel designed to preserve life. The ark was to be made of cypress wood, coated with pitch inside and out, and constructed with precise dimensions, 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Genesis 6 verses 14-16. It would have 3 decks, a roof, and a door on its side. Gathering the animals, God commanded Noah to bring into the ark pairs of every living creature, male and female, to keep their kinds alive during the flood. Additionally, Noah was instructed to gather 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal and bird, and a pair of every kind of unclean animal. Genesis 7 verses 2-3. Noah and his family, along with the animals, entered the ark as God had commanded. The Great Flood. After Noah and his family entered the ark, the floodwaters began. Genesis 7 verses 11-12 describes the event. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. And rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. The floodwaters rose, covering the earth and submerging even the highest mountains by more than 15 cubits, Genesis 7 verses 19 to 20. Every living thing that moved on land perished, birds, livestock, wild animals, and all mankind, Genesis 7 verses 21 to 23. Only Noah and those with him in the ark were spared. The waters recede. After 150 days, God remembered Noah and all the animals in the ark, and he sent a wind to blow over the earth, and the waters began to recede, Genesis 8 verse 1. The ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. As the waters continued to recede, Noah sent out a raven, which kept flying back and forth until the water had dried up. He then sent out a dove, but it found no place to land and returned to the ark. 7 days later, Noah sent the dove out again, and it returned with a freshly plucked olive leaf, signaling that the water had receded from the earth, Genesis 8 verses 6 to 11. Disembarking the ark, after another 7 days, Noah sent the dove out again, and it did not return, indicating that the land was dry. God then commanded Noah to come out of the ark with his family and all the animals, Genesis 8 verses 15 to 19. They stepped onto a renewed earth, and Noah built an altar to the Lord, offering burnt sacrifices of clean animals and birds. God was pleased with the sacrifice and made a covenant with Noah, promising never to destroy all life on earth with a flood again. He set a rainbow in the sky as a sign of this everlasting covenant, Genesis 8 verses 20 to 22, 9:12-17. God's covenant with Noah. God blessed Noah and his sons, instructing them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. He gave them dominion over all living creatures and permitted them to eat meat, but with a prohibition against consuming blood. The covenant also included the establishment of the principle of human justice. Whoever sheds human blood, by humans shall their blood be shed, for in the image of God has God made mankind, Genesis 9 verse 6. The new beginning. The post-flood world marked a new beginning for humanity. Noah's sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth became the ancestors of all nations on earth. The story of Noah's descendants is detailed in Genesis 10, which outlines the origins of various peoples and languages, eventually leading to the account of the Tower of Babel. Noah's legacy and the post-flood world. After the flood, Noah and his family embarked on repopulating the earth. Genesis 9 verses 18 to 19 tells us, the sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These were the 3 sons of Noah, and from them came the people who were scattered over the whole earth. Noah's vineyard and the curse of Canaan. Noah, a man of the soil, planted a vineyard. He drank some of its wine, became drunk, and lay uncovered inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father naked and told his 2 brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders, then they walked in backward and covered their father's naked body. Their faces were turned the other way so that they would not see their father naked, Genesis 9 verses 20 to 23. When Noah awoke and learned what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan. The lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." He also said, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Shem. May Canaan be the slave of Shem. May God extend Japheth's territory, may Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be the slave of Japheth." Genesis 9 verses 24 to 27. The Table of Nations, Genesis 10, often called the Table of Nations, lists the descendants of Noah's sons and the nations that sprang from them. This chapter provides a genealogical account that demonstrates how the nations of the world emerged from the 3 sons of Noah. Shem's descendants are associated with the Semitic peoples, including the Hebrews, Assyrians, and Elamites. Significant descendants include Eber, from whom the term Hebrew is derived. Japheth's descendants are linked with the Indo-European nations, spreading across the coastlands of the Gentiles. The Tower of Babel, Genesis 11 introduces the story of the Tower of Babel, which highlights the human ambition to make a name for themselves and reach the heavens. The whole earth had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone, and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city, with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves, otherwise we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." Genesis 11 verses 1 to 4. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. He said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them." "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. Genesis 11 verses 5-9. Significance of the antediluvian period. The antediluvian period and the events immediately following the flood are foundational to understanding the biblical narrative. They set the stage for the development of human civilization and God's ongoing relationship with humanity. Key themes include human sinfulness and divine judgment. The flood narrative underscores the consequences of human wickedness and the seriousness of sin in God's eyes. God's mercy and redemption. Despite humanity's failings, God provides a means of salvation through Noah and the ark, demonstrating his desire to preserve life and offer redemption. Covenantal relationships. The covenant with Noah establishes the pattern of God's covenants with his people, marked by promises and responsibilities. Diversity of nations. The genealogies and the Tower of Babel story explain the origin of different languages and nations, highlighting the unity and diversity of humanity. The lineage from Shem to Abraham. Following the dispersion at Babel, the Bible shifts its focus to the descendants of Shem, leading to the patriarch Abraham. Genesis 11 verses 10-26 provides the genealogy from Shem to Abraham, highlighting key figures such as Arphaxad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Sereg, Nahor, Terah, and finally Abraham, originally Abram. The call of Abraham, Abram, a descendant of Shem, is introduced as living in Ur of the Chaldeans. God called Abram to leave his homeland and go to a land that he would show him. Genesis 12 verses 1-3 recounts God's promise to Abram. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." Abram's journey of faith. Abram obeyed God's call and set out with his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all their possessions. They traveled to the land of Canaan, where God appeared to Abram and reaffirmed his promise to give this land to his offspring. Abram built an altar there to the Lord. Genesis 12 verses 4-7. Throughout his journey, Abram faced various challenges, including a famine that led him to Egypt and conflicts with local kings. However, he continued to trust in God's promises. Notably, in Genesis 15, God made a covenant with Abram, promising him countless descendants and the land of Canaan. God confirmed this covenant through a solemn ceremony, symbolizing his unbreakable commitment to Abram and his descendants at the birth of Ishmael. In Genesis 17, God reiterated his covenant with Abram, changing his name to Abraham, meaning father of many nations, and Sarai's name to Sarah, meaning princess. God promised that Sarah would bear a son, Isaac, through whom the covenant would be established. As a sign of this covenant, God instituted circumcision for Abraham and his male descendants. Conclusion: the narrative of the antediluvian period and the subsequent story of Abraham and his descendants are foundational to the biblical account of human history. They illustrate the themes of creation, sin, judgment, redemption, and covenant, setting the stage for the unfolding of God's plan for salvation. From the creation and fall to the flood and the calling of Abraham, these stories underscore God's sovereignty, faithfulness, and love for his creation.